Oh look, a babbling brook. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day to be alive. Out in nature. Never mind. What's up everybody, Commander Keen back today with another Ground Branch video. Today we are going to be going over everybody's favorite topic of discussion in this game, the guns. We're going to go over each weapon class, what each of them contain, why you might pick one weapon class or weapon over another one, and we're going to go over that to ensure that you have a successful run, a successful mission every single time. Stay tuned and we will get right into that. Now the first place that we want to go, of course, is to customize operator. This is the same window that we went through in the first video where we went through the actual customization of our class. Today we're just going to be focusing on the guns, so head on over to this screen. The first thing you're going to see is that I've already got a kit built. This is for one of the playthroughs from earlier today, but head up here to your primary section and you're going to see 5 different icons. Each of these icons represents a different weapon set in the primary field. We've got SMGs, shotguns, assault rifles, dedicated marksman rifles, and LMGs. So the first one we're going to touch on is SMGs. Alright, now in the SMG class, scrolling through, you can see we have a number of different options here, starting with the AKS-74U, scrolling down, and ending off with a UMP-45. Now, what denotes these guns or separates them from the other ones in their class are generally their smaller footprint, their smaller form factor. They just take up less space. This is helpful when it comes into play with collision detection, whether it is a doorway that you're pressing through, whether it's an enemy that you've got the muzzle against before it's being forced up, anything that your firearm can collide with. These are going to have the benefit of giving you a little more leeway over something longer like some of the long rifles. Generally speaking though, SMGs or pistol caliber carbines, anything like that, fire a smaller round, smaller and generally less powerful. This is the case for many of these, such as the MP5 variants that shoot a 9mm, the MP7A1, which is the 4.6 by 30, the MPX, which is another 9mm, the UMP-45, which is a 45, and I believe that the AKS, don't crucify me on this, is the 5.45 by 39, I believe, which is actually a rifle caliber, but it's got a shorter barrel, less velocity. However, the same still reigns true for all of these, that they are more compact guns. They take up less space. In real world scenarios and also in this game, they are easy to maneuver and they are more portable. Now, whether this suits your mission or not, you're going to have to make that call when you grab one. A mission that requires you to do some marksman work, the MP5 SD5 might not be the best choice for that. So you're going to have to make those decisions on your own. Now, as far as I'm concerned, my recommendation, these firearms are great for close, tight battles where fire rate and in the case of the suppressed MP5s, where muzzle report is something to consider. So as a general rule, I would say that you'd want to use SMGs indoors. Maps like Tanker, inside on Rundown, the inside, maybe in Small Town, stuff where you're going to have short engagement distances. Fire rate is nice, and maybe again in the case of like the MP5s, these integrally suppressed ones, where you want to be kind of quiet. But as a general rule, you're going to want to use these for more close quarter engagements than you are, say, sniping somebody from across the map on Creek. Moving over to our next category now, we have shotguns. Now, we were just talking about close quarter weaponry and short engagement distances. Shotguns are definitely going to fall into that category. As most of you already know, shotguns do not generally, unless we're talking about slugs, fire a single projectile. Rather, they fire a number of smaller projectiles out of a single shell. For those of you that are familiar with bird shot or target loads, that's basically a cloud of little pellets, whereas something like a double-aught buck or a number 4, which are two popular caliber choices or shell choices for military and law enforcement, fire a smaller number of larger projectiles, usually in a smaller area. This game right now, I believe, only has just plain rounds in it, buckshot, presumably a double-aught, which is almost 9mm sized pellets. But these guns have a surprising range in the game for how effective they are. But again, generally speaking, you're going to want to use these for shorter engagements, shorter distances, shorter gunfights, where overwhelming fire support or firepower is the key, because it is really tough to match the sheer amount of mass that these things throw at you. So my hope is later in the game that these have a little more utility in the form of ballistic breaching, but I'm going to wait very patiently and very excitedly for that to happen. But for right now, if you just want to ruin someone's day in this game up close and personal, this is a strong consideration for what you should be equipping for your mission. Moving over to the next tab, we have assault rifles. This, I think, is where the majority of players are going to find their niche for what they want to use on a mission-to-mission basis. The devs have been kind enough to give us some options. As you can see here, I have a few pre-built AKs. These are the 74s. Scrolling down, you can see some more pre-built. We've got a classic wood stock AKM for all you FUDs out there. If you really want to get classic, we've got the OG FAL in 7.62x51. Coming down, you can grab a Galil if you would like. We've got the M16A4 that fires in burst. We've got the quintessential HK M416s for those ballers who want to use an $8,000 gun in a video game to feel tactical. I get it. I get it, guys. We've all been there. Just wear it with pride. Scrolling down, we've got the M4A1, the M4A1 Block 2. We have God's favorite here, the Mark 18. More on that later. But yeah, you've got a very well-rounded selection here. So any of these are going to be your kind of middle ground weapons that you're going to pick up for general use. You can use these in designated marksman roles if you really need to. You can use these close quarters if you really need to. You can use these as for suppressive fire if you really need to. This is kind of that do-it-all category that I feel like the majority of players are going to settle into when it comes to selecting their kit, and we'll go over that a little more in detail in the future. Now, the next tab over here is the designated marksman rifle category. Here we're going to find some of our larger footprint, longer barreled weapons that have a little bit more of a punch and a little bit more of a specialized purpose within this game. I've seen a lot of players having a really good time with this class online with a little bit longer engagements, or throwing red dots on them and having shorter engagements with a little more of a challenge. Very utilitarian weapon class category. One of these belong on every team that has any kind of engagement range, an excessive or a longer engagement range map as far as I'm concerned. You want at least one of your guys to have one of these if you've got a larger map. Now finally, on the far right, in a class of its own, we have the LMG class. Now right now there is only one rifle in this class, and that is the Mark 48 Mod 0. This is currently the only dedicated suppressive fire weapon in the game. This is another really popular one online because you can kind of just hold the trigger down and spray. I believe this has a 100-round box magazine on it. Very utilitarian weapon. Debatable of its use in close quarters combat, however, a very effective weapon nonetheless. Alright, let's get into some of the capabilities that each of these classes have and kind of some of their more specialized features. Starting over in SMGs, you're going to see right off the bat that a few of these already, basically everything from the AK-74 all the way down to the MP5 here, you'll notice that none of these have front rails. There's not a lot of rail real estate. These firearms were not designed to have rail space on them. Now, there are functions in the game that will allow you to put attachments on it, as you can see in my SAS Gangster mod here, you can see that I do have some attachments on it. However, not really what we're used to seeing when we talk about some of the assault rifles or some of the longer form factor guns. Again, a longer firearm means more real estate for accessories. So we have the basics on this firearm. As you can see, we have a laser and we have a light, we have an optic. It does what we need it to do. We don't really have as many options for placement, but we can still make it work. Now, scrolling down, you can take a look at the MP7, the MPX, and the UMP45. These firearms feature rails, free float rails on the front that have more designated space on them, more customizable options for where you can put your equipment. If you really wanted to place your optic out here for some unknown reason, you could. So these are just some of the considerations within the SMG class to keep in mind. Where do you want to place your kit? What kit do you want to use? Where is it the most functional for you? So something like the MPX that shoots the same caliber, 9mm, as the MP5. Those are considerations that you need to make. Where do you want to put your stuff and how much stuff do you want? How effective is that equipment going to be for your given mission? So these, in my opinion, these ones are really fun to use. They've got kind of a classic feel to it, especially the AK-74. But the more functional stuff, the more functional we get with the SMGs, the farther down we scroll. So the MP7, wonderful firearm to use. The UMP45 is also a lot of fun. Here's one that I've gone ahead and customized. It has everything on it that a guy could need. Again, just a lot more customization with some of the more modern designs in the SMG class. Now coming back over to shotguns. Shotguns absolutely have their usage, but in my opinion, they are more limited. Shotguns are awesome for birds and clays and opening doors and not really much else. There's almost anything that a shotgun can do, a rifle can do better. Outside of those couple things, don't freak out. Unless you want to freak out in the comment section, we can talk about this. Don't freak out at me. I'm generalizing. Your mileage may vary. However, in this game, shotguns are great for slinging a lot of lead in a very short amount of time. Something like this M1014, which is the designation for the military designation for the Benelli M4, is a fantastic option. This is a semi-auto variant. It has a wicked rate of fire for being such a powerful weapon. You can put lights and lasers on it, as you have seen here. You can also mount optics on it. You can see I've got an RMR on mine. This is kind of a gun that I would use, again, indoors, in tanker. Very short engagement ranges, very short distances that you'd be fighting from. Although the range on the shotgun in this game is pretty impressive. But this is just... all around, this is a very fun gun to use, and once you get a little more into the swing of things and a little more familiar with the game, I highly recommend you try out the shotgun, or in PvP. It's a ton of fun there. But as far as running through missions in the game, there are generally speaking better choices than the shotguns. However, your mileage may vary. Just play with it and have fun with it. Moving over next to the assault rifle class. Again, this is the meat and the potatoes. This is going to be where I feel most players will settle. We have some AK variants here, including a CQB version with a shorter barrel. Coming down, we've got the more classic woodstocked AKM. We've got an FAL. We've got a Galil. This is where the majority of our options lie. And again, I really feel like this is where most people are going to settle. My personal favorite, not only within the game, but also in real life, is the Mark 18. There is almost nothing that a Mark 18 can't do, and I'm going to be biased right now and throughout this whole video. I'm just going to be honest with you. The Mark 18 is the best. Just take the Mark 18 and you will be the happiest you can possibly be. However, if you decide to take something else, you do have other options. But my personal favorite is the Mark 18. As you can see from the way that this one is kitted out, we can have anything we want on it virtually anywhere. The level of customization of this rifle is one of the reasons why I love it so much, also in real life. But it is just, in my opinion, the perfect mix of a long rifle and a short-barreled CQB monster. I will take this 9 times out of 10, even over SMGs, even when playing tanker. I know I keep bringing up tanker, but realistically, it's probably the best example of short distance, short engagement ranges, and close quarters, tight-knit combat in the game, as far as I'm concerned. Small Town offers some good examples of that. However, tanker, to me, is the pinnacle of CQB-ery. That's right, I said it. In this game. So that's what I'm going to use as my example. And the Mark 18 is my personal favorite because I just feel like it's a do-it-all gun.
However,
you got options. So keep that in mind when you are selecting your kit based on the map that you're playing, based on your play style, based on your role in your team, or if you're playing with a team at all. This is a good, again, do-it-all example of a rifle. Moving up to the M4A1 and the 416s, you can equip these roughly the same way to do the same thing. M16A4, same thing, but you're going to get that burst fire functionality out of it. The Galil, again, going back to what we were talking about with the SMGs, the Galil is more limited in what you can do with it. It's really a great provision here for an optic. There's no rail up front. I skipped this. I get so much enjoyment out of customizing my guns in this game that I don't even bother with the Galil. I can't tell you if it's any good or not. Don't have a clue. The FAL, you're going to have a lot of fun with this one too. Definitely a longer barreled gun, but the customization is still there. You can see I have a low-powered variable optic on here and a Voodoo 1-6 with the RMR mount on the top. This one is a really fun one to play with as well. However, none of them is a Mark 18, so just ignore every part of this video that isn't about the Mark 18. Now the DMR class, we've got the M110 and the K1 with the slightly longer handguard, shorter barrel combination. We've got the Mark 14. Why anybody would ever want to carry this even in a video game when you have something like an M110? Whatever, maybe it's for nostalgia purposes. If you really want a nostalgia bomb, you can run the SVD. These are going to be your longer rifles. Do not attempt to take these and clear the airplane and 747 with them. It's doable, but you're going to have a bad time in comparison to, say,
a Mark 18.
Or an MP5 or anything like that. It's not what they're meant for. Of course you can make it work, but there's just a better tool for the job, so plan your kit and your gear accordingly around your mission. Now we've got our LMG class with the Mark 48. We've discussed this before. It shoots a big ass bullet. It shoots it really fast. It shoots it a whole bunch of times before you have to reload. It's really, really fun to play with, and it's cool as a suppressive weapon, but again, not your number one choice. Shouldn't be your number one choice for CQB. Can you make it work? Absolutely. Should you try to? Play how you want, but it's just not a Mark 18. I hope you guys found this really handy. I hope you're using this right now to brainstorm some new kits and what kit you're going to use on each map, depending on whether you're playing with a team or whether you're just going in solo. Just use your best judgment, play around with everything, and remember what I told you about engagement ranges and how each of these weapon types and attachments impacted, and you will be just fine. If you liked this video and you want to see more, be sure to give me a like, follow, subscribe, drop some comments down in the comment field about what you'd like to see next. I fully plan on doing a full how-to on this whole game. I'd love to keep going with the series. This is a fantastic game. It deserves all of your love and support. I'm going to keep going with it. I'm having a ton of fun with it. So let me know what you guys want to see. If you want to see more of my content live, I stream on Twitch on Monday and Wednesday evenings. I'm not sure how much Ground Branch I'm going to be playing, but pop on over and say hi and let me know what you thought of the video and what you want to see next. Come and check me out on Twitch. I really hope you guys found this information useful. This video definitely ran longer than I originally intended it to, but there's so much to talk about. If you guys like this one, you'll definitely like the next one. We're going to go over the weapon attachments and how those are going to influence your capabilities within the game. So until then, go out and use this information to your advantage. Win those rounds. Whether you're playing PvE or PvP, this stuff is going to help you out no matter what. So stay tuned for the next one, guys. And until then, may all your rooms be corner fed.
Ghost.